I want to share something about lavender with you today that, well, most gardening explainers get completely wrong. When lavender dies in an American yard, and let's be honest, it dies in millions of American yards every single year, it almost never dies from neglect.
It dies from care. It dies from the watering that was genuinely meant to help it. It dies from the fertilizer that was meant to feed it. It dies from the mulch that was meant to protect it. And it dies from that beautiful soil that you lovingly prepared with compost before planting. It actually dies from each of these things for the exact same reason. Because, well, lavender evolved in conditions so incredibly different from what most American gardeners provide that literally everything we instinctively do for a struggling plant is exactly the wrong thing to do for this one.
So today, we're going to walk through 5 things that genuinely bring dying lavender back to life. But I really need to warn you before we dive in, most of these are going to feel completely backwards. Most of them involve stopping something rather than starting something, and they go against absolutely every instinct a caring gardener has. Now, I do want to mention the 5th fix before we even begin, because it's the most counterintuitive of all. It's something millions of us American gardeners do with the absolute best possible intentions, and it is quite possibly the single biggest reason your lavender looks the way it does right now. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go.
Before we get to those fixes, I just need a quick 60 seconds to explain where lavender actually comes from, because this understanding is the foundation for absolutely everything else. So picture this. Lavender is native to the rocky hillsides of the Western Mediterranean. Think the south of France, Spain, Italy, and those coastal mountains facing the sea. In those native habitats, lavender grows in conditions that would, to most American eyes, almost hostile. We're talking rocky, gravelly soil with almost zero organic matter, baking hot sun for 8 to 10 hours a day, virtually no rainfall through the entire summer, and crucially, soil that's so lean and fast-draining that water just passes straight through it, taking almost every available nutrient right along with it. But when we bring lavender into an American yard, we almost universally provide the exact opposite, right? Rich, amended soil, regular watering schedules. Understanding this context makes everything we're about to discuss make perfect sense.
All right, let's jump right into fix 1, stop overwatering.
And I say this knowing it feels exactly like the opposite of help. When lavender starts to look all gray, limp, or just plain struggling, our near-universal instinct is to give it more water. The plant looks stressed, and stressed plants need water, right? Now that logic works for almost every other plant in your yard, but for lavender, it's frequently the very thing that kills it. Here's what's actually happening biologically when lavender is overwatered. The roots, just sitting there in consistently moist soil, develop root rot caused by phytophthora and other water mold pathogens. These pathogens absolutely thrive in exactly the cool, wet conditions that overwatering creates. So the above-ground plant looks stressed simply because the root system is being destroyed below ground. Adding more water just accelerates that damage. The practical action here is super simple. Use the touch test. Just press your finger into the soil. If it feels completely dry, it's time to water. If it doesn't, just wait. Now, if you suspect overwatering has already damaged your plant, stop watering immediately. If it's in a container, gently take it out, inspect those roots, and use some clean scissors to cut away any that are black or mushy. Then allow that root ball to air dry for several hours before repotting it into a fresh, really fast-draining mix. You'll find that these plants can recover with surprising speed once they're given the chance to simply dry out.
Moving on to fix 2, correct the soil drainage.
This is the fix that makes absolutely everything else on this list work. That clay-heavy, moisture-retentive, organically rich garden soil that most of us American gardeners have worked so incredibly hard to build over the years, well, it's almost perfectly wrong for lavender. Heavy clay soil will slowly kill your lavender regardless of whatever other correct actions you take. Lavender needs soil that drains so fast that standing water after a rain is gone within 30 minutes. So, the fix depends entirely on where your plant lives. For lavender in containers, you'll want to repot it into a mix of 50% standard potting mix and 50% coarse horticultural grit or perlite. This creates a beautifully fast-draining medium. For garden beds, work some coarse grit, sand, or fine gravel into the planting area to a depth of about 12 inches. You're aiming for a ratio of roughly 1 part grit to 2 parts existing soil. And here's a genuinely surprising fact. In the American South and the Pacific Northwest, where rainfall is high or soils are naturally heavy, growing lavender in raised beds or containers is not some sort of compromise. It's actually the absolute correct approach to perfectly replicate its natural home. With the right drainage, I promise your plant will breathe again.
Now, I just want to give you a quick, gentle reminder that the most counterintuitive and dangerous fix, the one done with the absolute best intentions, is still coming up.
But first, we have fix 3, stop fertilizing it.
Completely. Stop it completely. This is the fix that really surprises people the most. Adding nitrogen fertilizer to its growing medium isn't just a waste of time and money, it actually harms the plant.
You see, nitrogen fertilizer produces this lush, rapid vegetative growth, these long, soft leafy stems that make it look, just for a moment, like the plant is thriving. But here is the science behind it. This soft growth cannot support the essential oil production that gives lavender its signature fragrance. It also can't harden off before winter, making the plant dramatically more vulnerable to cold damage. And worse, it creates exactly the dense, poorly ventilated canopy of foliage that fungal diseases, like botrytis in particular, absolutely require to establish themselves. Now, there is one surprising exception to this rule. Lavender's native Mediterranean soils are naturally calcareous, which just means they're calcium-rich because of all the limestone. Calcium is a really essential plant nutrient for holding plant tissues and cell walls together. So, if your lavender is in soil that's acidic or clay-heavy, a single application of agricultural lime or crushed oyster shell just scratched into the soil surface once a year provides the calcium that lavender genuinely needs. This one specific mineral addition is literally the only nutritional intervention most lavender plants ever genuinely benefit from. It's a very simple step, and your plant will absolutely thank you for it.
Let's gently move to fix 4. Prune properly.
You know, the most common mistake with lavender in American yards is simply not pruning it at all, or perhaps pruning it far too lightly. Lavender that's never cut back becomes progressively more woody over time, developing these bare, brown stems right at the base. And I must kindly warn you here, this woodiness is completely irreversible once it becomes severe. So, the correct approach is consistent annual pruning. In early spring, as new growth begins to appear at the base, you're going to cut back roughly 1/3 of the total height. The golden rule here is, cut where you can see green. Never ever cut into wood that shows no green growth. Then, after that first flush of flowers fades in early summer, cut the spent flower stems back to just above the foliage mound. This precise timing is exactly what triggers that lovely second flush of flowers in late summer, and it encourages the plant to put its energy into a bushy, dense foliage structure. Consistent pruning will keep your plant beautiful and full of life for years to come.
Now, take a breath, because the final fix is arriving right now. It's the most surprising and the most immediately impactful fix on this entire list. It is the one that will absolutely stop you in your tracks.
Fix 5. Remove the mulch. I know. Mulch is one of the most universally recommended practices in American gardening. Mulch retains moisture, mulch moderates soil temperature, mulch feeds the soil as it breaks down. And for your roses, your vegetables, your hydrangeas, and almost every other plant in your yard, organic mulch is wonderfully beneficial. But for lavender, organic mulch is frequently fatal, and here is exactly why. Organic mulches like wood chips, bark, compost, leaf mold, and even grass clippings hold moisture directly against the vulnerable stem and root zone of your lavender. Remember, lavender's native soil drains almost instantaneously. Organic mulch creates the exact opposite of that and creates a moisture-retaining layer at exactly the point where lavender's crown and upper roots are most susceptible to the fungal pathogens that cause invisible crown rot. That sad, gray, collapsed, seemingly dead lavender that pops up in so many yards by midsummer, it is very frequently a plant that has been mulched. The mulch looked like responsible gardening. The plant looked like it needed help. So the mulch went on, and slowly, invisibly, the crown just rotted from the outside in.
The immediate, actionable fix here is to go out and remove all organic mulch from around your lavender today. Just remove it completely. You want to clear a bare zone of at least 12 inches in diameter around the base of each plant. Now, if you still want the temperature and weed suppression benefits of mulch, simply replace it with coarse grit, gravel, or stone. These materials provide all the practical benefits without holding that dangerous moisture, and they beautifully replicate that rocky, fast-draining Mediterranean environment. If you take this simple action, within 2 to 4 weeks of improved drainage and air circulation at the crown, plants that look genuinely hopeless will often begin pushing vibrant new growth right from the base. It is a truly stunning recovery to witness.
So let's bring this all together. Stop overwatering, fix the soil drainage, stop fertilizing, prune consistently every single year, and remove that organic mulch. The central, warm truth I really want to leave you with today is this: your struggling plant is not dying from neglect. It is dying from care. Give it less, take things away, and just watch it recover.
I genuinely want to know how your plants are doing. Please leave a comment below telling me what state you're gardening in and what your lavender looks like right now. I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to help you bring these beautiful plants back to life. If this explainer helped you out, please give it a like so we can reach more gardeners who are losing lavender they simply do not have to lose. And make sure to subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Happy growing, everyone!